Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. She gets to uh, come in here because everything's kind of gotten back to normality for us. My son picked up his dogs last night. And here's your nut, girlfriend. There you go. Oh, she dropped it. There. And I don't know, it was like half of it. There we go. There's the other half. Yeah. She doesn't really like those nuts. They're what did my wife say? They're chestnuts. Chestnuts. She don't like chestnuts, but that's all we have. They're sort of round and very low friction shells, so they settled to the bottom. So now we got about 20 of those things left. So I usually give her one at night before we go to bed, and then usually one here and one in the morning. So I guess probably for like the next 10 days, all she's getting is chestnuts. That's all you get. We had all the good nuts earlier. Anyways, I did want to kind of go on a bit of a rant about like, so when I in my formative years growing up, I remember my parents used to be like, "Oh, you think you're special? You think you got your experience is special? Oh, why is it hard for you when it's easy for somebody, easy for you?" It's like life was in general pretty consistent. Like if you ordered something, it was the same wherever you ordered it. If you went to like McDonald's and you got a Big Mac, pretty much all the McDonald's, at least in your city, had the same prices, same everything. And so that's sort of like foundational the foundation of my world. And I think that the world has gotten to now, at least in my aspect of the world, where it's extraordinarily inconsistent and extraordinary like specific to individuals. And I love playing fantasy football. I think fantasy football is really cool. And one of the things is like if you're ever terrified of artificial intelligence, play fantasy football because it's incredible how wrong it gets everything all the time. And fantasy football is probably something that it should, if the world was like you think, um, you probably could. But so if you notice here, like I have Saquon Barkley, which I think he's awesome and all that. And see how this says 18.4 and this says 18.4. Now, when I first logged into this and saw this, I think it was yesterday morning, I was like, oh, this is what he was projected. And oh, it's amazing. It got it exactly right. Oh, and it got Jalen Hurts exactly right. Oh, and it got Patrick Mahomes exactly right. And then I saw this AJ Brown's, and there was no way. I know that I had looked at my opposition, and he didn't have anybody that was like projected to get less than 10 points on his side. So I know that he didn't have that AJ Brown was not projected to get 1.8 points. So mine is showing the same value. It's not showing the projected value under here. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay, but this is my first time I ever played Sleeper, so it didn't really surprise me that, maybe I got something wrong. And then um, and then 18.4 is pretty good for Saquon, but he's done a lot better in the past. But it's still very good. Nothing to be frustrated with or anything. And see, I have a 68% chance of winning this. And it's because this guy, Blind Spiral, see, this is a legacy league. So that means that when you pick people, they stay on your team over time. And he did more for the future. Whereas I picked, like, for example, I picked Aaron Rodgers, who this is likely his last season. But what was weird is then I looked at my other one, and Saquon got 18.2, no, 14.4, which was weird. He was projected to get 18.2 in this league, and he got 14.4. So it's like, okay, fine, there's two different. But then I went to this other, because I'm in 4 fantasy football leagues. And so I went to this other one, and I have Saquon, and he got 18.4. And it's just like, okay, why is that all different? And that's weird. But the weird, so that was all weird. It was like, okay, whatever. And then we played Ultimate Frisbee yesterday, and we were all talking about how there's like different ways that that the people who set up, who manage the team. So like individuals, like if you want to do fantasy football, you can manage a team, and then you can invite people to play, and then you can set up the way the values are calculated and stuff like that. So it does make kind of sense. But then this morning, my wife logged in, and she looked at hers, and this value and this value are identical. I mean, not identical like mine are. This was the projected, and this is um, the was the actual, or maybe vice versa. So, like the application works totally different for me. Like that very thing works different for me. This value here, I see the same values and all that. And in the past, I would have chalked it up to a bug, but it would surprise me if they're just like doing A/B testing, and their A/B testing. Who the heck knows what they're up to? But that transition has been very difficult in the United States, at least. I don't know, like in other countries, what, like maybe they're foundationally used to things being sort of unique. But we're getting to the point now to where like I'm pretty sure that like when you pull up to a fast food restaurant, which I don't eat fast food, but if you pull up to a fast food restaurant, I think you get individual prices. And I know that like a lot of these restaurants where they have menus and stuff that are on like iPad type things, like I think they are changing the prices on an individual basis by the table. So it's just like, there's no, like, you can't really make plans. You can't really live in a sort of a long strategic lifestyle. You have to sort of live in the moment all the time, which is probably a good thing, but it's hard if it's mentally difficult if you make a plan and then you can't fulfill your plan. And I think that that's kind of what we're going through in the United States right now. Where we were used to a lot more uniformity across things, and now nothing is uniform. Everything we see is like you. I remember a few months ago, I went to a friend's house, and they turned on Netflix, and their top 10 movies in the country were different than my top 10 movies in the country. And then I realized, oh my gosh, if that had been presented to me as the top 10 movies in the country, I would have a whole different view of the country. Like I'm seeing top 10 things, I'm like, oh wow, this is how people think, and this is what's going on in the country, like sort of like it's like sort of an indicator of how the country is. But the thing is I'm pretty sure we're all getting different top 10s lists, because, and who knows what they mean by top 10. Like I'm sure if you talk to them, they would say, no, it's the top 10 of whatever, in a whatever. Or maybe they have servers and it's the top 10 on the server that you are on, because obviously not every person in Netflix that has a Netflix account, not all of our accounts are going to the exact same server. So maybe that's what it is. I know that like, years ago, people would be like, wait, why do I get different Google results? And they would say, oh, it's because there's different servers and all that, which may have been true then, but it's not true today, because I have literally stood next to people. We've been standing literally next to each other on the same network, on the same everything, and got different search results. So anyways, that was that. And that is super important to us as software developers, because like things just like, if you're watching me and I'm trying to teach people how to code, and I'm not really trying to teach people how to code, I'm trying to show people how I code as someone who's been coding for decades and who's made a living coding, and who currently makes a living coding, and who is trying to make a living coding for I'm 57, so the next 43 years I would like to earn money as a software developer. That's my goal. Like how I'm doing it. It's sort of a teaching by example. But like if you're following my example and you're getting different results, It may not be you. It may actually be different. Your situation might just be different. Like when I looked at when I am on my sleeper.com fantasy football and I look at the two values, like I need to write down, if I want to remember what my guy was supposed to get, I need to write down so I can remember it. But my wife doesn't. Hers shows her. It's just we're having a different experience. So last time I did a commit and I found a bug. And the reason I found the bug is because the UI is now providing the ability to see the bug. So before I couldn't see the bug, but the bug is that if I hit add viz and then I go over here and I go to update, I see that my update ID for this visualization is 1. And then if I go back over here and I delete this and then I add a new one and then I get update, I have 12. And that is not what I want. I want all my IDs to recycle. But on top of that, I feel like this is possibly a indicator that I have a memory leak and that I'm not deleting objects. And I do envision this application having hundreds of thousands of objects and objects being created and deleted. And if that deletion doesn't work properly, it's probably not going to be a very good application for scaling. Like I probably won't be able to do some things that I want to be able to do. So, because it'll just get so slow because it'll get bogged down in memory. And fixing this problem is probably something I'm going to have to revisit all the time. But fixing this problem at this point is going to be hard, but it's going to be a lot easier now than it isn't. Additionally, there are supposedly tools that can help with this, and I've never really been in a situation where A, I had time, and B, I had the need to use a tool like that. So I don't really know how to use those tools. But yesterday, I went to ChatGPT, and this is actually going to put me on another rant. Me and my son he was telling me that Canada once burnt the White House to the ground, or burnt the White House down. And so we were trying to figure out what year it was, because we were trying to figure out if it happened during our revolution or during the War of 1812, because apparently we had a war with Canada the United States had a war with Canada in 1812. So we were talking about that because he's in college right now, so they were talking about that. And so we looked that up. It turns out that while Canada does take credit for burning the White House down, it was actually Britain. The only reason the Canadians say is because apparently Britain took some of their, I don't know what you call it, like drafted some of their population into their army, and some of their population was there, but apparently it was Britain. And then this Mia O'Brien thing is insane. So turns out that I found out through digging on this girl got life in prison, we don't know what for, in Dubai. Turns out that if you go to Dubai and you have traces of illegal drugs in your urine or blood or clothing, you get a minimum of 4 years in prison, which just didn't even think of that being a possibility. I can tell you I'm not going to Dubai anytime soon, because it's been shown that every dollar, every currency in the United States has traces of drugs on it. So that means there's no way that you can move. There's so much drugs in the United States that they're illegal drugs in the United States, and drugs that are legal here but not legal in the United Arab Emirates, that there's no way you can go there from here and get and get in there without having some traces of illegal drugs, and that is enough to give you 4 years in prison. And I don't really understand the culture or anything like that, so I don't even know like if that's like in some way a silly statement. I don't really understand. But anyways, this is what we were talking about. Checking memory leaks. And I was very aware of this, and I know I worked on that, but it would be good probably to do this. This is actually probably a good habit. I probably should do this now that I think about it all the time. This is looking for any kind of detached DOM element. So an element that's alive but not being presented. Now I don't know if like it would be interesting like sometimes like if you do have an ngIf and the value is changing, like would that detached one be brought back to life and reused, or would it create a new one? And it wouldn't even surprise me if that would change from version to version of Angular, and it wouldn't even surprise me if that would change from browser to browser. Like on one browser it keeps detached elements, but in other browsers, and with the flags and stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if two people could have the exact same browser, exact same type of computer, exact same everything, and one of them maybe even using the same computer, and one of them logs into their account and they get detached another one. So it's our challenges as software developers are quite intense. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to do this. I never use F12, but apparently I can do F12. Now I think that was for this tab, so let's do this. And let's actually refresh. And let's go to our other view and refresh. Okay, F12. Okay, so now we have our, and I like how it comes up in the console. The way I normally get to this is I'll right click and do it, but it goes into elements, so maybe I'll start trying to use F12. Go to the memory panel, and so this it says it might be hidden under that, and that they're talking about like this guy right here, like if it's too short, but mine was pretty long, so I'm going to go to my memory panel, and then it says take a heap snapshot with the state where the object exists, and then it says perform your delete action and take another heap, and then look at object and expand classes. So I'm just going to do a heap snapshot, see what happens. All right. And then I guess, okay, so that's done. So this is telling me that what my size of my compiled code is, a string system function. I suspect this will make more sense the more I interact with it. This is fun though. So it looks like I have 4 arrays that are taking 160K up, about 70K in objects. And honestly, I don't think any of this stuff matters. And I'm really just like, at this point, I'm basing what I think on very little knowledge. But I would think that you wouldn't even care about any of these unless we're talking at least 100 megs. So we are talking in Ks here. And there's 1,000 Ks in a meg, in an M. So there's kilobytes in a megabyte. And I would say, I believe there's 1,000 megabytes in a, so this is 13, yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. Window is 39K. And then I don't know what retained size is. But all right, so we've kind of been sort of just kind of not doing anything, right? So let's take another snapshot or heap. And what we're hoping is that like everything's the same size. I wonder, and it kind of looks like it. I don't think they have it all summed up. But yeah, nothing changed, which makes sense because we're not even looking at it. So now let's look at it and see if anything changes. So it doesn't look like anything changed. 39. Oh no, it went up a little bit. Yeah, so well, we weren't looking at it, but now we looked at it. So we didn't interact with it at all. We just looked at it. And I think it was saying the object one is the one that to really keep an eye on. So that is that. What are our choices up here? Comparison, containment, and statistics. Let's look at statistics real quick. So this is a little bit better of a view because it gives you this total here. So 16.9. It's kind of neat that it statistics 16.9 and then statistics 17.8 kilobytes. So I mean, just barely. And then I guess we could see. So it's weird because the code went up, and I would think the code, just by looking at it, shouldn't have changed. All right, so let's take another one. And then statistics. So like literally we aren't even doing anything, and for some reason the amount of memory this is doing is creeping up. What if I hit refresh? So like, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm just trying to get a baseline of what to expect even if you're not doing anything. Like, what is just the natural expectation of what you would get? Summary 16.8. So I think we're back. So we're even lower than that. So let's go ahead and take another one. And we're talking about like, it's like literally saying like, oh, that cost you $1. Okay, now it costs you $1.001. So 16.98. So it is just growing, right? Now it'll be interesting to see what happens if I just mouse over these things, because I know that there's things that happen in that, you know, like what I mean by things that happen, like you know, new DOM elements show up and out. So it went up a teeny tiny bit, but it doesn't seem to have affected anything. All right, so I'm going to, I guess we should, what does comparison do? I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Oh, okay. Okay, so it was comparing snapshot 7, this snapshot, to this snapshot. So when I told it to, this is like basically comparing it to itself. And then this is kind of comparing. So this one has like, this is how much more that is. So that's very, very useful. And then there was a containment. Yeah, I don't have any idea what this is. Again, I've been working with this stuff for decades, and this is like, honestly, I've heard a lot of people say they use this, and I'm pretty sure they're full of it. I don't think they actually use it. I think this might be the one that is the one we really care about, is this object for that. But see, there's 2 objects, so I don't know. So I'm going to delete all of this stuff. Okay. Now, we're going to do exactly what it said. We're going to put it in the mode that we want. Add biz. And I probably should have, okay, let me go ahead and put it in this mode right here. And then let's take a heap snapshot. And then I think what we want is our statistics, at least for now, maybe in the future. And I think the one we're supposed to, well, I guess it's the arrays, the strings, this kind of stuff. The total, I guess, really matters too. So it's 18.58. So now when I delete it, and our objects, I guess is the thing, system objects, I felt like maybe in this other, in the summary, system, no, object, objects. There's 826 objects, I think is what this means. There's 3,000, I don't know, that doesn't seem right. There's no, I don't, yeah, who knows what that means. But then there's this object, which I don't know what that is. And who the heck knows what distance means. All right, so now we're going to delete it. And what, yeah, I should have probably taken a snapshot before. Okay. All right, so I think I messed this up. Okay, I'm going to clear them. I'm going to hit refresh. Okay, good. I'm on this thing, and I'm going to take a shot, a heap snapshot. All right, so we are looking at 784K of objects. It's kind of interesting. So there's the shallow size and retained size, and the retained size is a little bit bigger than the shallow size. Yeah, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Okay, so now I'm going to add one. And we found that like mousing over this and all that doesn't really have that big of an effect. Okay, I'm gonna take another snapshot. And then there's no telling if that pop-up and all that is also adding stuff. But anyways, okay. So I guess we want to do this compare. So I think it's comparing this one to that one. And so what we would like to see, I guess, is this delta to be negative, and it's not. It's like we have more objects now. Even, oh, yes, we have more objects because we added an object. All right, so now I want to delete my object. See, it's going to be so hard because when we delete it, it's also deleting these buttons and all that. And what I care about are the visualization objects in there, like the geometries and those things. And then we're going to take a snapshot. And then I guess we'll do a comparison. And I think it's, yeah, it's checking against snapshot 2. Okay, so objects, it dropped 103 objects, it looks like. I think that's what that means. It says object shape, which, you know, who knows what that means, but. So it's kind of interesting because it's saying, well, detached, I don't know what detached means, but, so we added 17 apparently, arrays or maybe array elements or something. And we got rid of 103 objects, which I think makes sense. We had 167, or we deleted 167, but we added 64. So, like, who knows what that's all about and all that. So, And then I think the statistics is a good one. So it's 18.5. So we actually increased when we deleted our object. We increased it. I don't feel like I know anything though. You know what I mean? Like, because there's just so many moving parts. So we started off with 16.4. So ideally, like, if you just believe in the like sort of the theory of all of it, here we had one, and then here we would go back to that, but we're like above it. And if we look at our summary, see now this is saying we had 783 objects and 15,000 shapes. Oh, wrong one. And then we had 15,000 and 814. So the number of objects went from 814 to 783, which seems about right because it seems like there was like 14, but there's just no telling what's happening on the 3 side, the ThreeJS side. All right. And so now I guess what we'll do is let's go back to this statistics view, and we have 18,556, which is the most. I'm gonna run another one and see what happens. See if it like sorted with time. No, so then it even grew some more. So we definitely did not like recover any memory on the browser. So to me, that would be like indicative. Like I feel like you could easily do this right here in a meeting and show people, and then like say, look, we have a horrible memory leak. But I don't actually think we've shown anything at this point. Oh man, I did not want to do that. Okay, now we're going to add a visualization again. We're going to take another snapshot. And we're going to go over here to statistics. And now we're at 19. And then let me go, like, I'm going to add like 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take another snapshot. I didn't really expect to learn a lot from this, but I feel like what happens is, so now we're at 21. So like these guys aren't, like our first snapshot was 16.9.7. Oh, that's kind of cool. I just noticed it. And now we're at 21. Now you would think if we delete all of these, we'll at least be under 21, because we got 2 megs of memory for 10 more. So we're going to delete them all the way down to 0. And we even had that thing up, so that probably also had some, that little menu was still up. And we had a bar. Okay, let's see what we do now. Okay, so that's good. So at least we did release some. Now we're still 3 megs above the start, but and we're even a meg above that. So it does seem like if we just do a bunch of stuff, this thing is just going to keep creeping up. So it seems like we have some sort of memory leak. Now, is the memory leak in any code that we have over any control of? That there's just no telling. They like all these applications use so many third-party libraries. I mean, there's just hundreds of them, maybe thousands of them in here. Any one of them could be creating a memory leak, and we just don't have any kind of thing. So if I click in here, so this is all 3 stuff. All right, so we still have a whole bunch of three things in here. And who knows, maybe it should be. You know, like now we've brought it, and you know, it's like using them because, you know, it might be faster to use them. But it does look like, and see, this is ridiculous. See, I was about to say just an absolutely ridiculous statement. I was about to say, hey, it's all three's fault. Look, we have proof. And it's like, we don't have any proof. This doesn't prove shit, you know, um, but I guess what I should do is refresh this and then add this, close that because we don't want to do that. Take our heap, snapshot, and then open this. No, this, I think. So these are all the 3 stuff. But what I would like to see is our stuff. All items. No. So what's one of our classes? Let's look in here. Or maybe, yeah, so let's go to our ST side. And we have, in our ST camera service, we will create a base camera, and this calls this create camera. Go to definition, go to implementation. So we do a camera, create camera. This creates a 3 camera. It also creates create camera as a function that returns a number. It accepts these things and it creates, or oh, we're on the 3 side. I don't want to be on the 3 side. I want to be on the ST side, camera service. So this creates a, see, oh, this creates a ST camera. I don't know what I just went to before. Go to implementation, go to definition. Are we on the 3 side? Yeah, we're on the 3 side. Why does that say ST? See, this is such a mistake. That should have said 3 camera service. Create camera service. What does this thing return? It returns a camera ID. So we can get a camera by ID, which is that camera. That is this dictionary. Oh my gosh, and we made that an any. We do this. Oh, an ST camera. Okay, so this is, I think we can, I think we should be able to look up by that. ST camera. Okay, so we have ST camera service. And ST camera. See, I don't think this is going to help. What about camera? Ah, this could be very helpful though. So we have a camera array that has 14 items in it, which seems weird to me. Or maybe, oh no, it has a distance of 14. Okay. So we would expect this array, whatever this is, we would actually expect all these to go to nothing once we deleted it, right? So that might actually be useful. So let's hit delete. Let's run another heap. Let's filter by camera. And we still have them. So the cameras still exist. And like I said, I don't know. It seems like to me, like, yeah, the camera still exists. But this is like camera service. But like this guy, it seems like he should not exist anymore. It doesn't seem like, well, it's weird because we haven't even created an orthographic camera. So like this probably exists inside of this probably, I guess all of these probably exist inside of ThreeJS. Snapshot. So, and it's weird because I keep getting thrown off by this. So this camera service was 0.3 kilobytes before, and it's still 0.3 kilobytes. This ST camera service was 0.3 kilobytes. And now it's 0.9 kilobytes, which I don't understand what that is. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think I got anything out of that. So, well, okay, I did get stuff out of it, like experience. I got some experience, but I don't. And maybe I understand something subconsciously, but I definitely didn't get anything like logical information that I can then reapply and do something cool with. So I don't know. We will kind of step off and maybe just start debugging what the F is going on with these IDs. Wrong one. Add viz, update. That should be 1. So why is it not 1? And I don't think that, like, I think this is just like one of those, you just got to get down and dirty into the weeds of this, and sort of like just start debugging. What happens? So I'm gonna go here. Like, what happens when I hit this button? Add viz. So I'm gonna hit inspect. And just sort of look in here and see if I can figure out what the call is. Button, is that this guy? No, that's the reflow button. And see, I would just like had this scary feeling like, oh my gosh, what in the world have I broken reflow? Well, I know I haven't broken the reflow because I created an end-to-end test, a Cypress test that tests reflow, and I passed all my Cypress tests, so that's good. So it looks like, I don't know, date add button. I don't know how this thing gets called. So what I do is I'm just going to copy this text. And, a lot of times that text is something else. It's like derived, but in this case, it is not. So there we go. We have this span. In this span, okay, so we have this add click viz handler. So we go into our viz handler. And we go over here. And basically all we're trying to do is figure out why it's getting a different ID. That's the first thing we can do. And actually the very first thing I guess to do is go to, is determine like how it's getting the ID. Click viz handler, add visualization. So it goes to this and goes to UI service, add renderer. And it gets an STID. So go to definition, so in JavaScript, I don't think it matters whether you say go to definition or go to implementations, but it does matter in other languages. I think, because in other languages, you create like, you create like thing, another interface file for all your function, or for all your classes, that all it has is a description of everything. Um, it doesn't have the code. Um, so that's the implementation. But in JavaScript, I have never seen that. I've never seen anyone have like a interfaces file, so I don't think that exists. But so it goes over here, and so this is where it happens. So we're just going to create a console log here. And we're just going to say st renderer ID. And I can't say enough, like, how if we can't, like, we won't be able to have hundreds of thousands of things on the screen, of different items and things. And like a lot of, like let's say you're moving through and you're looking at stars or things as you're going by. um, when they're gone, it's good if you can delete them so that you can get them out of your memory. Like, it's no longer. Um, and I think ThreeJS does a pretty good job of that. Like, I don't think it actually, I think it deletes anything that is outside of what the camera can see. But like where I have a mirror, I need to make sure that I'm also deleting things, or it's all for naught. Although my objects are probably going to be much, much smaller than the 3JS objects, but I'm not even sure of that. All right, so we've got to figure this out now if we want, or this is going to have to be figured out if we want to be able to scale. And if we don't, deferred DOM node could not be resolved. Yeah, the deferred DOM node, who knows what that means. And see, I think this debug node on is saying that, like, this wouldn't show up if we weren't, like, I don't think this would show up if we weren't in development mode. So like your end user, I don't think would ever see that. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so we got our one. Now delete, and we got our 9, which is exactly what we expected. And it's always good to start with, like, hey, I'm getting exactly what I said. So let's go here to get base renderer ID. And so this is where we get our renderer ID, and this is where it generates an ID. I'm just going to say console.log render ID generated, and comma, and then st renderer ID. Oh, I don't know why. I should hit F12. F12 definitely is better. Add viz, and then delete, and then add viz. All right, so there's that. So now I guess we should do the delete. I'm going to try to do this like by thinking more in an architectural perspective. Okay, so this delete button probably gets created in, well, it definitely gets created in components, right? So if we go to our components, maybe we can layouts, app, tabular layout. It's probably inside of here. Oh no, that's well, first of all, I'm not in app tabular layouts. App tabular layout. Yep, there it is. Delete render ID. And we give it a render ID to delete. So go to definition. So I think if I was working in C#, which that's what I work in a lot at work, I would want to say go to implementation, not go to definition. But I also don't even use Visual Studio Code for the C#. I use Visual Studio and it uses the same words. So anyways, so here's where we delete our render by renderer ID. Okay, console.log. I'm guessing deleted is, and I'm just gonna do the Boy Scout thing. I don't think this would ever cause a major problem with like another developer, so I'm going to make that a const since it's not changing, and I'm going to but you know, I may end up losing it, because it wouldn't surprise me if I like revert all changes in the near future. I don't know if this is the ID. Oh no, it's a Boolean. So let's actually, instead of that, we want this. And this is us just being sleuths, just doing detective work, trying to figure out why in the world we are not recycling our IDs, and figuring out if that's just an indication of a larger problem. And unfortunately, the developer tools, well, like if I say the words out loud of what it did, it sounds like they would tell us exactly what we need to know. It did not. So it's kind of like if I had to give like a analogy, I guess it would be kind of like saying, oh, there's a report that has all the fish in the ocean, so you can figure out if John caught a fish yesterday. And it's just like, there's so much stuff going on. There's no way you're going to be able to pick out the information that you want. And then someone would say, yeah, but you can filter. And it's just like, yeah, still, you know, like you just, like what things even mean, you know, you don't even know what it means. But adviz. Like it's kind of like one of those things where you, like if you ever had to get into a debate with somebody who is defending that heap tool, you can't win the debate. But no one uses it. If it was useful, people would use it. But you can't win the debate because like every reason you would tell them why people don't use it, they would say, but you can do this, but you can do that. And that is probably one of the most frustrating things in life in general. Okay, so deleted one, and so now we say add, and we got that 9. Okay, so that worked as expected. Let's see. Delete renderer, and then it says delete visualization for renderer ID. So one thing is in the UI service, so we're deleting stuff in the UI service, and then we're deleting other stuff in the visualization service. So when we delete the renderer, go to definition. So delete renderer, st renderer ID. Oh, so this is our UI, this renderer service, which is, aren't we doing the exact same thing? Delete visualization for renderer ID. Oh no, this is delete renderer. And then this is prune visualizations by renderer ID. Okay, so prune probably does like some sort of comparison. And then delete probably actually deletes. Who knows? Who knows what the difference is on those? That's weird. All right, renderer ID, delete renderer. Okay. renderer st renderer ID. And I just can't even tell you like how many times I've been trying to do something like complicated like this, where it's just like really abstract, and then like found out that like, oh, I'm looking at this code here and this code is doing this and blah 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 blah, and then just found out, oh, for some weird reason it's not actually calling this code, or this code isn't doing what I wanted. You know, like this code for some reason is not being called, or not executing for some reason, and then I've wasted like hours and hours and hours investigating some code that's not even running. That happens all the time. Okay, delete. So basically, I just want to see printing and then deleted. And so basically, yeah, we've gone into UI service, we deleted our renderer. Okay. So let's first go into deleting the renderer. Go to definition. So I feel like, okay, I have not gone. Okay, so one of the things, I guess I need to go back and see, at this point we can use this tool to figure out where we've made changes. So the UI service is, okay, that's where that is. UI service is where we added it. We got our renderer ID here in the st renderer service. Go to definition. And then here's where we got our sequence. Okay, so this thing is supposed to so this is what is supposed to delete it. And you know, maybe this never gets called. So console log. I think this is probably one of the most important things. Okay, recycle, no, generating. D. This code is like, oh, that is interesting. I wonder, pop, what is pop? I think pop returns the last. The last element. So it's going to give me the very last element, not the first element. So that could be the problem, is maybe all of these have been recycled and it's returning the very last recycled one, not the first one. So if that's the problem, then I think we're in pretty good shape. So I think that's there's my fears were unfounded, that we are in fact deleting things, but the recycleds is not taking the oldest ones. It's not taking the lowest ones. It's taking the last one that was put in, which was probably the last number. So but you know, like and it would be the easiest thing in the world right now to say just change pop to shift, and that works. And just, but let's, like, since we're here, since we put all this work to get here to figure this out, why not just see it all the way through and make sure that we fully understand this? Okay, so console log dot log returning recycled value. And then basically I'm just going to also say this dot recycled IDs, and then and see, this is why, like, in general, I don't like combining my return with the variable. Let next value equal this number, and then we're going to return next value. And then we are going to next value. And then I guess, yeah, that's fine. That should be enough information. So my theory, my current running theory is that as I'm deleting them, I'm assuming that I did a fantastic job and I deleted all the individual pieces piece by piece. I don't know, but I'm giving myself the benefit of the doubt at the moment. And my theory is that what has happened is this pop is taking the last one that was recycled, not the next available, not the lowest one. So I think that how we fix this is probably, we could just shift, well, okay, let's just assume that, let's just validate that what I'm saying is actually true. Select console, add viz, delete viz, and then here we should see something interesting. If no, so I was wrong. So that was not the problem, because it doesn't look like we ever get into the recycled. We don't even get in here. So let's see, do we ever even recycle any ID? Let's see if this ever. See, now I think this, go to implementations. Maybe not. So that's the definition. Let's see, find all implementations. Maybe I never even recycle an ID when I delete. Well, here we do. Oh no, this is a unit test. All right, so that would be the problem, is we never actually recycle any IDs. So yeah, right off the bat, maybe I'm not deleting things. I'm deleting the objects from memory, but the recycling was never. So the general idea was supposed to be that whenever you delete anything, you should then recycle the ID. You should call this function and recycle that ID and put it in the list. Push would put, probably right after we push, we should sort it so that the lowest one is on the bottom, so that when we're trying to debug, we can see them in an order that makes sense to us. And then we should probably shift so we get the lowest one, or possibly maybe we should just update this code up here to just find the lowest one and return it, which is very simple code. So maybe that's what it is. Find the lowest one, and we always return the smallest one in the recycling. But right now, if we say console.log, let's just double check this. Recycling, comma ID, and then inspect console. I think the reason I do inspect in console is because, like, what has focus. When you're popping back and forth between browser and the editor and all that, like it's just easier just to right click than click in it and then hit F12. I think. And delete. See, we never recycle anything. So anyways, that is, I guess we have to find all the places where we delete anything. Yeah, basically we're going to have to go back around and just double check that deleting actually deletes everything and that recycles everything. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where I have no idea how long this is going to take. And this is one of those things that really frustrates management, because it could literally be just like, oh, we're just going to add that call 8 places, and then everything will work as expected. Or it could be that we are, or it could be that I don't even have delete stuff. Like the deleting of cameras doesn't even exist. That whole concept doesn't exist. Deleting of geometries and all those things just doesn't even exist. Which I could have seen why I wouldn't have done it, because like deleting is going to get really tricky when in the future, because I might have things that share objects, and I wouldn't want to actually delete the ID and all that if the object is being used by something else. Anyways, yeah, that was a brutal one. It's tough. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.